We often think of memory as a filing cabinet in the attic of the mind, a collection of snapshots and stories we can pull out and examine at will. But for those living with post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, memory is not a story told. It is a physical state lived. When a person experiences a trauma so profound that the conscious mind forgets, through dissociation, repression, or simply the chaos of the event, the body takes over. It becomes a silent historian, etching the terror into the nervous system, the muscles, and the very chemistry of the blood. But to see what's actually happening, we need to go deeper. Let's dive in. To understand why the body remembers, we must first understand why the mind fails to record. Under normal circumstances, the brain processes experiences through the hippocampus, which acts as a librarian. It timestamps memories, gives them a then and there context, and files them away. However, during extreme trauma, the brain's alarm bell, the amygdala, goes into overdrive. This is part of the limbic system, the ancient part of our brain responsible for survival. When the amygdala senses a threat to your life, it triggers a massive release of glucocorticoids, like cortisol, and catecholamines, like adrenaline. In a state of high-intensity terror, the flood of cortisol actually has a neurotoxic effect on the hippocampus. It effectively takes the librarian offline. Because the librarian isn't there to timestamp the event, the memory isn't stored as a narrative story. For example, this happened to me 5 years ago. Instead, it is stored as unprocessed sensory fragments. The smell of diesel fuel, the specific temperature of a room, the visual texture of a pattern on a wall. This is why you might forget what happened, but still feel a wave of nausea when you smell a certain perfume. Your mind doesn't have the file, but your amygdala has the raw data on a hair trigger. Even if you cannot consciously recall the event, your autonomic nervous system, ANS, the system that controls involuntary functions like heart rate and breathing, remains stuck in the moment of impact. The ANS is divided into two main branches. One, the sympathetic nervous system, SNS, the gas pedal. It prepares you for fight or flight. 2. The parasympathetic nervous system, PNS, the brakes. It allows for rest and digest. In a healthy person, these two systems dance in a balance called homeostasis. In a body remembering trauma, the gas pedal is floored and the brakes are cut. The body maintains a state of muscle armoring. This is a literal physical shield where the body keeps the large muscle groups, the traps, the psoas, hip flexors, and the jaw, in a state of constant semi-contraction. If you find yourself constantly clenching your teeth or having chronic lower back pain, it may be your body remembering a need to brace for impact. Your thalamus, which filters all incoming sensory information, becomes sensitized. It stops being a gatekeeper and starts being an amplifier. This is why a door slamming or a car backfiring doesn't just startle someone with PTSD. It causes a full-body physiological jump, as if their life were in danger again. When the body remembers, it doesn't just feel tense, it changes its internal chemistry. This revolves around the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal, HPA, axis. When the brain perceives a threat, even a forgotten one, the hypothalamus signals the pituitary gland, which signals the adrenal glands to dump cortisol. In a normal person, once the threat is gone, a negative feedback loop tells the brain to stop. When the brain perceives a threat, real, remembered, or forgotten, it doesn't ask questions, it reacts. The signal begins here, in the hypothalamus, the brain's threat detector. Once activated, it releases a chemical message, telling the body to prepare for danger. That message is passed to the pituitary gland, the relay station. It doesn't decide, it amplifies. The pituitary sends a second signal downward, straight to the adrenal glands. And that's when the chemistry changes. The adrenals release cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. Heart rate rises, muscles tighten, digestion slows. The body shifts into survival mode. In a healthy system, this response is temporary. When the threat passes, cortisol sends a signal back to the brain. We're safe now, stand down. The system shuts off. Balance is restored. But when the body remembers danger, the signal never fully stops. The alarm stays on, and the body lives as if the threat is still happening. What we call PTSD isn't weakness, it isn't overreaction, and it isn't something you can simply think your way out of. It's a body that learned at some point that survival mattered more than comfort. A nervous system that adapted to danger and never got the message that it was finally safe. The tension, the startle response, the exhaustion, they aren't failures. They're evidence of a system that worked exactly as designed. The work forward isn't about forcing calm, it's about teaching the body, slowly and safely, that the threat has passed. Because when the body learns safety again, the mind can finally follow. I was Mike. Thank you for watching What Happens When. Visualized. See you on the next episode.